The LA Times has an incredible report out today about the forced labor of undocumented immigrants in America. They say, quote, U.S. family detention facilities, which are often run by private companies, are coming under fire for putting undocumented immigrants to work for little or no pay. Migrants cross the border into the U.S., then find themselves rounded up into the detention facilities and put to work cleaning, landscaping, cooking, and performing other functions that would normally be handled by hourly workers. So in the article, they detailed the story of one woman in particular. They say, quote, she made $3 per day cleaning bathrooms, hallways, and other parts of the detention center. She could buy her son a bag of potato chips for $4 or a bottle of water for $2. The prison facility is run by Geo Group, which is the country's second largest private prison company. Some people have not been paid at all for working. Being held by immigration and customs enforcement is not supposed to be punishment. And there are 3 family facilities for holding immigrants and 80 other facilities around the country. ICE receives funding to house 34,000 immigrants daily. So we're talking about a situation here where people are working, they're getting little or no pay, and it's 34,000 undocumented immigrants locked into a private system. Again, run by Geo Group, the second largest private prison company in the U.S. So they cross the border, they get caught, they're brought in to work for little or no pay, and they're forced to do things, and then they're overcharged for anything that, you know, they would need to survive, like water. Hey, $2 a bottle. Well, the most they make is $3 a day. Some make nothing. So what are we talking about here? Here's the most chilling line from the ACLU in the article. They say, quote, we have a name for locking people up and forcing them to do real work without wages. It's called slavery. So this is modern-day America right now. Now, we've spoken about similar issues before. One of the things that they do is they'll take undocumented immigrants immediately from when they come into the U.S., and then they lock them up. And then they lock them up in an actual prison, not these which are detention facilities, which are like legal limbo. But they'll take them, they lock them in an actual prison, a private prison, and then they charge you, the taxpayer, and, you know, they mark it up tremendously. They make a significant profit on it, and then they try to keep them in the system as long as possible. Because when you have private prisons, you've just incentivized people to lock up people. You've made it so that now, for money, they must lock up people and they must keep it at full capacity. Or else that money flow stops, and you don't want to run out of money, do you? So either you have undocumented immigrants come in, they get locked up in a private prison, and the taxpayers get robbed to lock up undocumented immigrants. Either that, or people come in, 34,000 of them, they go to a detention facility, which is like limbo, and they get paid little to nothing to do work, and then they're overcharged whenever they have to purchase anything anyway. So either we are unjustly locking them up, or we're forcing them to do like indentured servitude / slavery. Okay, conservatives, where are you? I need you on this one. You're the people who scream about undocumented immigration and how wrong it is and how terrible it is. And here we have a situation where liberals and conservatives can agree. And our agreement is, why should we have to spend any money, tax dollars, to private detention facilities or prisons to lock people up who are undocumented immigrants who haven't even committed a crime other than just coming into the country? Why wouldn't you just immediately deport those people? Now, remember, we're not talking about the 11 million undocumented immigrants who have been here for an extended period of time and they've set up a life here. That's a different story, and those people, you guys know, as I've said, I would grant amnesty to those people and have a path to citizenship. But we're talking about a situation where people who just crossed the border, and for profit, they're either put in a detention facility or a private prison, and then you set it up so that Geo Group and all these corporations can just rob the taxpayers. Here's an area where we have bipartisan agreement. Conservatives would say what? Well, if they cross the border, just deport them, of course. Well, would liberals say in that scenario? I mean, look, I'm a liberal. I just told you if they've been here for a long time, that's a different conversation. But if they just crossed the border and your choices are private detention facility, private prison, or just deport them, of course I'm going to say just deport them. Why not? So it's amazing what we've done in America. And remember, man, this is the stunning part. What the establishment wants is the worst of all worlds, is what I just described to you right here. The establishment wants to continue this. Why? Because of corruption and bribery and money in politics. The private prison lobby gives money to the politicians to run their campaigns, and then when they get elected, they set up systems like this specifically to function like this, so that they can continue to give these people contracts and give these people tax dollars for locking up people when they shouldn't fucking be locked up. It's a ruse. It's a scam. It's all for money. Wise up to it. This isn't something that's a solution. It never was intended to be a solution in the first place. It was intended to shake down the taxpayers and take away the lives and the freedom of these people who cross the border just looking for a better life. So this is unacceptable, man. And yet again, I'll repeat myself. This is an area where we can have liberals and conservatives agree. You're doing the worst thing you could ever do, locking them up in prisons without a trial, just to shake down taxpayers, private prisons, or you're just sending them to private detention facilities to make them do slave labor or a version of indentured servitude. How about neither of those things? How about shut down all those facilities that are engaged in this practice, totally drop private prisons because there's terrible incentives in that system, and just make it so that if somebody crosses the border immediately and they're caught right there, yeah, of course you deport them. You do it in a safe, humane, rational way. But that's the solution to that specific problem. I think we can all agree on that.